to welcome you all to our very first ever event for our chapter. We're very excited to have you here and to be launching this new chapter with you. It's the first Canadian chapter, so we're very excited about it. Before I begin the presentation proper, I would like to thank Shopify very, very much for providing this beautiful, wonderful venue and for catering this event as well. It's all been taken care of for us by Shopify, so Julia Greco over here she's the events manager for our chapter, and she works here at Shopify, so that was very convenient for us, and it's a great venue, so thank you so much to Shopify. What is the mission of Women in Localization? Well, it's to foster a global community for the advancement of women and the localization industry. And as you may have noticed, men are welcome, but we'll get into that later. We're all about equality. So, there's an official website for Women in Localization, the parent organization, which started off in Silicon Valley in 2008, as I will explain later. But if anyone hasn't yet checked out their website, please do. There's lots of really good information there and resources and links to other things, including an episode of my podcast, where I interviewed the three co-founders, which I will point out to you in a bit. Women in Localization is the leading professional organization for women in the localization industry. There's thousands of members at this point all around the world. The mission, as we said, is to foster a global community that inspires professional equality in the localization industry and supports women through all phases of their careers. So that includes from the time you start off as a student in a translation program or some other related program, all the way through to the later stages of your career. The organization got started in the Bay Area in San Francisco 2008 and has expanded its membership to include women all across the globe, and we encourage members to meet in each of the local geographies. So as I mentioned, this chapter here is the first Canadian chapter, hopefully not the last. We did debate back and forth a bit whether we should call it the Canada chapter, but that seemed a little bit too ambitious given how big the country is, and the whole point is to get together in person, right, for actual events, and so that would have been a bit too ambitious. So even Eastern Canada seems a little bit ambitious, but we're going to try and make it work. Women in Localization was co-founded by three women, Eva Kladinova, Sylvia Avery, and Anna Schlegel in 2008. Again, there's the website, and there's a LinkedIn group. There's also a LinkedIn page, but there's also a LinkedIn group, and I encourage everyone in this room to request to join the LinkedIn group. That's where there's a lot of interesting conversations happening. It's a closed group. It's very welcoming to anyone who's interested in the organization. So I encourage you to go find that group on LinkedIn.
Are you allowing men in that one?
Pardon?
Are you allowing men in that one?
You know what? I don't know actually. Probably. Yeah, I don't see why not. Sure. There's a Facebook page for the parent organization. There's a Twitter account, and there's a LinkedIn page. So you can follow all of those. This year, this is the board of directors for the parent organization. Loy Searle is the current president. She's been involved with the organization almost from the beginning. The three co-founders, I'll point out, are Eva Kladinova, Sylvia Avery, and Anna Schlegel. And all the others, I think they're all based in the Bay Area, frankly. That's just, where it got started, and they still have, a very active, obviously very active chapter there. But now there's chapters all over the world, and I'll show you a map in a little bit. There's also an advisory board. These are the members of the advisory board this year. I'll be on my podcast as well, actually. So the values of women in localization. Above all, it's about community building. We're focused on creating a community whose cultural values are support. We're here to support each other and have each other's back, as they say. Empowerment. We're all empowered to contribute and demonstrate through our actions what's possible. commitment, a shared commitment to all that we do through our actions, results, and contributions, and belonging. So we don't just have a place where we belong, but we offer that feeling of belonging to all members and the community. So these are the different, I guess, aspects of what Women in Localization does as an umbrella organization. If anyone here gets really into the whole idea of being a member of Women in Localization and want to become much more involved beyond like the local level, they're always looking for volunteers, and if any of these categories sort of strikes you as something that you could really contribute to in a significant way, I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with the parent organization and offer to volunteer in whatever capacity you would like to, because I know they're always looking for volunteers. As of last month, this map has expanded a little bit because there are now 8 more chapters than there were in January, ours being one of the 8. There's also now a Texas chapter, a Colorado chapter, a Russia chapter. I think, what are the other ones? I can't remember. There's us, yes, there's us. But as you can see, some are very location specific, very localized, like Silicon Valley is very, localized. They have like hundreds of members, I think. But then there's places like, Argentina. There's one chapter for the whole country. There's a Russia chapter, so that's, I'm assuming a lot of those members are in Moscow, but I guess my point is, Eastern Canada seems like a big geography, but we're not the only ones who have to deal with this vast, expansive geography to bring together our members. There's some partner organizations that Women in Localization works with. GALA, you may be familiar with, the Globalization and Localization Association. It's been a partner since 2015. The Common Sense Advisory has been partnered since 2016. World, you're probably all familiar with World conferences, established a partnership in 2017, and TAOS has been partnered with Women in Localization since 2018. So, the role of men. We welcome them. We always welcome men. Basically, the long and short of it is men are more than welcome to attend events. They're more than welcome to serve as on the advisory board. As you saw, there are 2 of the 3 advisory board members right now are actually men. They can participate in panel discussions if a woman, equally qualified woman, was not found, I guess, but with the board's approval. Men can take a role can be there to train, to mentor. It's basically they're welcome. The only thing that they can't do, as far as I can tell, is they can't become official members. If I understand correctly, that's the limitation. But other than that, we're always happy to see them, and we're happy to see them here tonight. Metrics at a glance. This is not quite up to date anymore because we now have, I guess, 24 chapters, not just 16, across at least 16 countries, if you count Russia and Canada. So this isn't quite up to date, but it just gives you a sense of, that's pretty impressive. Like, they celebrated their 10th anniversary last year, so, way to go. They've come a long way in 10 years, I think. And it just goes to show that there was clearly an interest and a need for this type of organization. So yeah, so our kickoff event. This is now about our chapter here. This is our leadership team for this year. I think we revisit this every year, I think, or is it for 2 years? 2 or 3 years. I'll have to double check. I should know this now, but anyway, there's 4 of us right now, and we happen to all be based in Toronto. At some point, we would like to have some of that leadership team be also based in Montreal or Ottawa or both, because we would like to have events in all 3, at least in all 3 of those cities, and perhaps beyond. Because right now, looking at our membership list, we have almost as many members in Montreal, I think, as we do here in Toronto, or close anyway. And then there's like a whole group also in Ottawa, which makes sense because those are the cities that have universities with a translation program. And so we do plan to tap into the community of students who are coming through up the ranks, I guess, in the translation programs of Eastern Canada. So Catherine Christaki, if you haven't met her already, she was at the registration table. Okay, I'll let them come down there. So Catherine Christaki is right here. Raise your hand, Catherine. Myself, also just to back up, Catherine is not only our chapter manager at the moment, but she's also our membership manager. So she's wearing 2 hats. And I have the social media and PR manager role right now. We have a mentorship manager, Tanya Sapti Prabhu. She's sitting right over there, and if you haven't met her yet, and also if this is the time to start thinking about whether you are potentially interested in becoming a mentor, or if you are looking for mentorship. And either way, I encourage you to find Tanya later this evening and talk to her, because Tanya will be taking down names of potential mentors and mentees maybe. And some of our events in the future will definitely be all about mentorship. That's a big part of what Women in Localization tries to do, is to get mentorships going and to help young people in the industry in that way. And last but not least, Julia Greco, whom you've also met. She's our events manager. For Toronto, we had another events manager based in Ottawa, but she had to drop out. So for the people in the room right now, I would like to put it to you that we are looking to grow our leadership team. We do need more people to get involved. Even if it's not as formally as joining the leadership team, but if you have an interest, talk to us. We're looking for more people, especially in places other than Toronto, because we would like to start having regular events in Montreal and in Ottawa, and maybe even in other places like Halifax, if there's an interest there. Our videographer for the night is Rodrigo Pizarro, right over there. He is very experienced in all things video, so he graciously is lending his services pro bono tonight. Yes, and it's time for Q&A. Before we get to that, though, I'd like to just point out once more that we are always going to be interested in recruiting people to help us with all the events that we want to plan for the future. This event right now is very informal. It's more about networking, just meeting for the first time. If you already know some people here, that's great, but if there's people you haven't met before, now's the time to connect and network and stay in touch afterwards, hopefully. Future meetings will be probably a bit more structured. As I said, there will be some really focused on mentorship. Others will be more about, I guess, continued learning, if I can put it that way, in the sense that we'll have presentations by experts in certain areas, maybe even panel discussions, kind of like a session of a conference or something where we'll get certain particular people to come and present to the group about a specific topic, and then there'll be a Q&A, and then there'll be networking afterwards. Those types of events are things that we plan for the future, but we can't have them all here in Toronto because not everyone can make it to Toronto. So start thinking about first of all, whether you'd like to get more involved, which would be fantastic, but also if you have people that you know that you're connected with in the industry who are in other locations in Eastern Canada and who are not yet aware of us, or who are but don't know how to get more involved. Like we want to really get the community connected, not just here in Toronto. So yeah, so for the Q&A, I would now invite my fellow members of the leadership team to join me here for a little Q&A. And if anyone has questions, now is the time, or afterwards in a less formal time, I guess.
Hello. Hi, I'm Catherine Christaki. I'm an English to Greek. Well, first of all, I'm the chapter membership manager for the chapter. If there's anything you need in terms of, I basically manage the chapter's email. So if you have any ideas, if you want something to ask, if you want to become a member, if you want to send someone else to become a member, just use that email, anything you need. And then if it's specific to one of the other roles, then you can sometimes use the chapter email. So again, I'm an English to Greek translator. I specialize in software and app localization. I started as a freelancer, and then I've been in the industry for 18 years already. I started as a baby, that's why. So for the first many years I was a freelancer, and then since 2012 I co-run Lingua Greca Translations, which is basically the same as I was doing before. So we also do technical translations only, English into Greek, and maybe software and app localization. I'll leave the part where how did we start to do this now?
Yeah, why not? How did you get the idea? Because you're really the brain behind all this.
Yeah.
And also, she says she's a chapter and membership manager only, but the reality is that Catherine does everything that the three of us don't do. Like, she's a force of nature. I am constantly in awe of how she works full time, she's a mom, and all the work that she has put into setting up and launching this amazing initiative that I'm sure many of us have thought through our careers we should have a Women in Localization Canadian chapter at some point, and none of us took the initiative of doing it, and Catherine did. And she does it with a smile all the time. So thank you. Yes, Catherine and Catherine.
Well, it's doing almost everything, apart from a few things, was the description of the role of chapter manager. So if I could delegate, I would. And they do whatever they can do, but whatever is within their roles. Anyway, okay, so first time we discussed the women, first time I had the idea for a Women in Localization Canadian chapter. I've been following Anna Schlegel online, and I've been a member of the LinkedIn group of the parent organization for many years, and I've been following Anna Schlegel. I admire her. I'm like a groupie of hers. I try not to stalk her. So whenever they would ask something like, we need help with that, I would be, can I do it? And of course I was in Greece back then, and there's just so many things you can do, online. Women in Localization is all about, the events. So there wasn't much I could do. I had the idea, but I couldn't do much about it, and then I wanted to start a chapter in Greece because I was planning on moving to Canada. And then last year at the Localization Conference, which all of you should come to if you find places, because you have to register like the next minute when you get the invite. It happens every year in Toronto. Ask Alex to tell you all about it. And so last year, when I was talking with Catherine there, and that's when we first brought up the subject, and we said, should we do something like that? I mean, look how great their conference is, and there aren't that many events here. And the community is huge. I mean, if you see the numbers, if you see the ATIO members, many translators come from Canada to the ATA conferences every year, which is in another country. So people were willing to travel. There was a huge community, and yet, where were all those people? There weren't events to see them and network with them. Catherine was very enthusiastic about it. She said, yeah, we should do something, let's discuss, and then we both kind of dropped it, other things happen in life. And for some reason, the idea came up again, the urge we have to do something about this at the ATA conference when I went to New Orleans in November. So first thing I did when I came back from the conference was again contact her and said, let's, wanna do this, wanna go through with this? And so we did.
Hi everyone, so I'm Tanya Sakti Prabhu. I have a small little agency called Circa Translations. I started out as a French to English translator and attended Glendon College or University. I don't use Trados. I have no idea what to do. And when I think about students coming out of school and all of the jobs that are being eliminated, and then this world that's opening up in project management, I think it's really important to prepare at least translation students with the ability to project manage. That's kind of where my passion is. That's what I do in my business. I am not just the founder of Circa, I'm also a project manager, and I project manage full-time as well as translate. And I think that it's given me a really good skill set and a good foundation. And I'd like to share that. So that's where my mentoring, I think, abilities will be able to come in handy. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, so I'm Giulia Greco. I work here at Shopify. I'm a content and localization manager for the Italian market. I also project manage a few other languages in some other aspects, like resourcing and assigning work in a few languages that we don't support fully internally. I have two colleagues here, Alex and Gabriela. Thanks for sticking around, girls. I fully agree with Tanya. I feel like it's super important to mentor and create an environment for students coming out of school who are better prepared for the workforce. I know I'm in the same situation when I also lapsed. I stopped working in the translation and localization business for a bunch of years, and then I came back at Shopify, and it had changed completely. And I also hadn't used a cat tool. Gabriela taught me how to use MemoQ. Woo, MemoQ. Love it, love it. Thanks for coming, MemoQ ladies. And thanks, Gabi, for teaching me how to use it. What a game changer. I would never go back. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, cat tools are like amazing. And, I can't believe that there are students coming out not knowing and being afraid of the technology that can actually help you do a better job faster and concentrate on the most interesting parts of our work rather than the repetitive, boring, same stuff. Anyway, there's room for discussions and opinions on this, I'm sure, and a plurality of views. Beside this, yes, one day I got an email from Catherine Bassman asking me if I wanted to be a member, and I think I was so enthusiastic in my response of like, finally we have something, that they were like, okay, clearly she can do more than just be a member. I'm just going through my brain thinking, what was the conversation between the two Catherine? I mean, like, this woman sounds crazy, like crazy energy, happy, so let's get her to do more. And they were like, do you want to be a manager? And I was like, sure, why not? And then I also thought, I work at Shopify, we have a good localization program in place that's growing and growing. And I felt like I could contribute also through my company that, by the way, I want to, officially, publicly thank, because, I went to, various more important people than me and said, can I host this event here? Can I get a budget for snacks? And can I get this and that? And they were all like, of course, of course, of course. So the company is super supportive, which is really nice. And so it's a good way to give back to the community, and it's also a good way to, place ourselves on the map of localization, because recruiting is always difficult, and it's good to know that, we're open for business, and that's basically it.
So again, I'm Catherine Bussman, and I guess I may be the only person in this room, apart from Rodrigo, who doesn't have a translation background. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a PhD in linguistics, which is something very different. And I was very confused when I first came across the localization industry. People keep talking about linguists, and I thought, but they're not linguists; they're translators, and linguists are like people who scientifically study language, which is what I used to do. But anyway,
It's an American workforce thing that they call it. Yeah.
Anyway, I was very confused for a while until I figured out, well, that's what they mean by linguists. Okay. So more years ago now than I care to admit, I was at Ottawa U studying linguistics, and I purposely did not go into the translation program because I did not want to become a translator. It was never my vocation, but I have nothing but admiration for translators, and the languages have always been part of my world. So I do have a genuine interest in the field, but when I was going through university, I didn't know that there was such a thing as a localization industry, because if I had known about it, I would have gravitated towards that for sure. It wasn't until about 6 years ago that I came across the localization as an industry, this thing that I didn't even know was out there. And it was only because I started my own business as a marketing consultant with sort of a global, international global perspective, you know, multilingual content marketing for international expansion, that type of thing. And so that's where I come from, but it's something that localization quickly sort of got on my radar, and I kind of realized, oh, well, these are the cool people that I want to be hanging out with, and so I've been trying to infiltrate myself into the industry ever since, through sort of the side door. I have my own consultancy called Verbicino, and I also have a podcast called The Worldview Marketer. It's a podcast about global marketing, supposedly, but I end up talking about localization almost every other episode, and I've had Tanya on my podcast. I've had Catherine was one of my very first interviewees when I was just launching. And I've actually, as I mentioned, I had the 3 co-founders of Women in Localization on my podcast, and that's actually how I found out about this organization. And I interviewed them because they came recommended to me as good potential guests for the podcast. But when I interviewed them and I found out more about the organization, I thought, why don't we have that here? Like, we have such a wonderful community here in Toronto, but they all seem kind of disconnected somehow. I don't see a lot of events happening here in Toronto. Why is that? It's sort of to me, it would be a no-brainer because we're so diverse and multicultural, and we have translation programs at the universities here. Why don't we have more events? Why isn't there a chapter here? So that was sort of always on my mind, and when I connected with Catherine about this, we sort of started thinking about it more seriously, and here we are today. So thanks again, everyone, for coming out to our very first event, the first of many, I hope, and the first of many in different cities as well. As I said before, we don't just want to have it be Toronto-centric. We want it to be, you know, at the very least also in Montreal and in Ottawa and wherever else we can find people to help organize. Because it's always about people taking up the torch and helping to organize things, otherwise nothing gets off the ground. So anyone who has the time, the energy, and the motivation to help us with this, we welcome you to step up and talk to us, and we'll help you get things rolling in your neck of the woods. At this point, yes?
Tanya's gonna talk about the mentorship
Yes.
program for a few minutes. Yeah.
She's actually quite modest. Catherine speaks 3 languages, so she doesn't want to be a translator, but you speak 3 languages. So yeah, I think it's pretty impressive. So I guess the mentoring program, there's a lot of different events that have been happening around the world, and sometimes it's just connection and getting people together, but it's also hosting events where you can actually have mentoring opportunities and really like learning, and I think that that's something that I would really love to bring to our mentoring events, and invite students from London hopefully as well, and other universities across Canada to kind of come out and join the industry. When I graduated, I had nowhere to go, I had no one to talk to, I didn't know where to begin. So I think it would be a wonderful opportunity, as well as hosting events for women in localization already who want to improve on their skills. There's a lot of different things that we can do. So if you have any ideas as well, please bring them forward, because I'm absolutely open to anything. Anything that you feel would help in terms of mentoring and helping you in your careers and developing your skill set.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of starting this chapter is that we get to set the agenda, right? So anyone here who has ideas of what kinds of events you would like to see, to attend, what would be useful, what would be interesting, just please, we're looking for ideas, we're looking for, if you want to nominate someone to maybe for us to follow up with about maybe presenting at some point, we're all ears, and we're counting on the membership to make suggestions and recommendations, and tell us what you would like to get out of this, where you would like us to take this as a chapter.
Yeah, we don't have a firm event just yet, but September is what we're aiming for, to have the mentoring event. So we figured it's kind of good, everyone's back in work, school, so it's kind of a good opportunity to get people out. Maybe it'll be even in the States, who knows, Julia helps us out.
Yeah, the the snacks are good, and I come back.
I will do another cuisine. Tonight is Greek, the next time we'll try something else.
Yes.
And next time might not be here, actually. I think you guys are moving, right?
Yeah, we have, well, we're keeping these offices also, so you never know.
We are looking for someone. It would be nice if we could have like a representative in Ottawa, in Montreal, in Halifax, or all in all the other areas. But it doesn't have to be someone on the leadership team. It could be, someone who is based in Montreal and knows like 10 other people who would be interested in like a mentoring event. So we could have, it doesn't have to be, so you have to do everything. One of us we can try, at least one of us, to be there, and we will help and support and do everything we can online. So yeah, and we can do a mirroring event. That would be nice, especially for the mentoring events. We're supposed to do one per year as a chapter. So it would be great if we could do like a mirror event in other cities.
Like Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, maybe we can have it all happening. at the
Yeah.
same time.
So we don't have to move like the students, the mentors and the mentees. We don't have to move them, come to Toronto, and that's the only place where we're having it. So whatever works. Any ideas, anything, any suggestions, anything, just use an email. We are completely open to anything you can think of.
We're creating, so.
Yes.
So do you have any questions?